Hello, property nomads. Hope you're well. As you're probably aware, we've got a bit of an issue with oil, gas, coal, and fossil fuels. And although we're based in England, right on the south coast, there's been a bit of a hammer blow dealt to the Scottish economy because the last oil refinery has closed down. Now, the issue with that is that that oil refinery is apparently worth around 4% of Scottish GDP. Let's go for the article. The refiners basically said because of a, and I quote, hostile attitude, end quote, from the Scottish National Party and UK Labour towards oil and gas. That's been a big factor as to why they've decided to close down the refinery. And they go on to cite, various external pressures as well. But if we have a look at the other numbers associated with this, there are about 500 workers at the site. It's a big site just west of Edinburgh, 1,700 acres. The fact that that industry alone, or that place alone, is accountable for roughly 4% of Scottish GDP, you would have thought that in order to protect that moving forwards and protect the workers, that people would do something about it. But because where we've had so much anti-fossil fuel sentiment in the last few years, and unfortunately we're going to have a lot of that moving forwards, it means that companies come into the stage where they're in a relatively untenable position. So if Scotland's not producing this oil, and it's not refining and doing what it's doing, then how are you going to replace that energy? Because the answer isn't wind. The answer isn't solar. Certainly not on its own. A mixture, yes. But as we've explained before on the YouTube channel, that you need to have your baseload energy first. So you need to have your baseload of, maybe that's coal, maybe that's oil, maybe that's gas. It should be nuclear, and people are starting to warm to that slightly. But you need your baseload first. And then on top of that, your supplemental energies, your wind energy, your solar energy, bits and bobs like that. They can all work together to create more energy efficiency. Technology is going to improve over time. We all know that. So that means that the way things are done, that should get better over time as well. But this is a massive hammer blow to, I wouldn't say just Scotland, possibly the UK as well. And again, a lot of it comes down to hostile attitudes shown by the government. They go on to say, and I quote, they all fail to recognise the need for oil and gas, such as the refinery at Grangemouth, that's where it is in Scotland, to be part of Scotland and the UK's energy mix for years to come. Instead, the highly skilled workforce at Grangemouth have been delivered the worst possible news at a difficult time. The SNP Green government must act now. We have requested an urgent statement from ministers today in the Scottish Parliament to outline what this will mean for workers and what decisive action will be taken to support them, end quote. Fun times. I don't really know what else to say on top of that we haven't already discussed on the channel, that it's very short-sighted, because although we understand there's this push towards net zero and all these green energy transitions and all the stuff that goes with it, that what people are failing to realize is that there is still a big need for oil. There is still a big need for gas. There is going to be that massive need moving forward. If anything, demand's going to increase because populations are increasing, people are becoming wealthier, and a lot of people are being dragged out of supreme poverty around the world. So it's just going to create this demand moving forwards, and just a short-sightedness here is unbelievable, because when that closes down, if you're then relying on wind and solar, etc., for your energy supply, guaranteed you're going to end up paying a lot more for your electricity moving forwards than if the oil refinery was still open. So a hammer blow to the Scots, not good, and just another way that this climate crisis, and I say that very loosely, this climate emergency and there's all this net zero mumbo jumbo that we're getting pushed towards, or that's being rammed down our throats, it is going to come back and bite us in the ass moving forward. All of that being said, I thank you for listening to Property Nomads on YouTube. If you could just do a very, very small favor and subscribe to the channel. We're seeing a massive uptick in numbers thanks to you subscribing, and that really helps to push the message out of Property Nomads. So massive, massive thank you for that. It really does help us, and see you in the next video.